Isn't that just the cutest little witch you've ever seen? Hello, creative people. This is Catherine with the Motley Art, and I have a 2-page layout, 6x6, that I'm using the Sending You Hugs and Boo Crew stamp set along with the Boo Crew collection of papers. This collection is available through October 2021 by Close to My Heart. I will have in the description more information about what I used during this video if you would like to see that. Please subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and you can see each video that comes out as they come out, usually on Sunday. Now I'm going to take the Intense Black by Close to My Heart, and I'm going to stamp my cute little koala. I love koalas. When I saw that stamp set, I just had to have it because of the koala. And then when I saw the witch's hat in the Boo Crew stamp set, it occurred to me that it was the right size to put onto this koala. And I was like, I just have to do that. It'll be too cute. And it did come out super cute. I love it. So I decided to use the Intense Black because I wasn't sure if I was going to watercolor or not. I do end up deciding not to watercolor, but I wanted to have the flexibility of that. And I was a little messy this day. I dropped that witch's stamp right onto my cutting surface, so I had to clean that up. Sometimes that's how it goes. Sometimes we're really good. We can keep things nice and tidy as we craft, and other days it's just like everything goes everywhere. So I also wanted to use the broom that came with this stamp. I thought it would be really cute to put underneath of her. That way it kind of looks like she's leaning on the broom. So I went ahead and stamped that out. And then I started thinking, wouldn't it be interesting if the broom had some pink on it instead of just being black and white? You know, I thought it would be nice to give a little bit more color to this particular layout. And then I thought, well, if I'm going to make the broom pink, then I should add some pink to the hat. So the buckle there on the hat, that's what I wanted to make pink. Now, I could have just colored it in, I know that, but I decided to do a little paper piecing here instead because I really wanted to make sure you still saw that buckle. And I thought it would be interesting and kind of fun to do it this way instead. I don't do a ton of paper piecing. I've been trying to do a little bit more of it because I do really enjoy it. I just don't always think about it. So I just thought this would be an interesting way to get some more color onto my layout. So I get everything stamped, and then I did have some dies for a couple of the items. So those I went ahead and die cut along with my tabs for my flaps because I'm going to put flaps on this layout. And then I had to cut out the rest of the items. So the koala, she's really not that hard to cut out. So I decided, and I obviously wanted her to be smaller than, I didn't want to have to cut like a big piece just to have her on there. Now I do cut off some of the flowers because I'm going to put the hat on, the witch's hat. So I realized I didn't really need all of that. I didn't have to spend the time trying to be really neat there because you're never going to see it. So I just went around. I went kind of close. I didn't go right up to the black because where her ears are, there's a lot of little in and out pieces there. So I did leave a little bit of white, but I didn't want to leave a ton of white. So I just did it really, really close. And then I'm going to cut out that buckle part of the hat. So I didn't stamp the whole hat because I didn't need a second whole hat. I just wanted that little bitty piece there that went across. So I just carefully cut that out. And then I'm going to glue that together. And when I had that sitting there, I just really liked how that turned out. So I decided to cut off just a portion of the broom and make that pink instead of having a whole pink broom. So basically, like, I wasn't sure, up to this point, I wasn't sure if I was going to use the pink broom or the white broom, which one I wanted to use. And then I decided, you know what? Let's go ahead and cut off the bottom part to make that the pink part, but leave the handle still black. So that's what I'm doing now. And I decided I really did want to be really close with that so that you just saw the pink part on within the stamped image. So when you use the thin cuts, you get a little bit of the white on the outside, and I wanted this to not have that pink area on the outside. And then I also decided to color in sort of the little band there at the top that holds the broom together. I just decided I wanted that to be solid black. And I went around the edges of these areas because I wanted them to not stand out too much. So I wanted to make sure the edges were black. That kind of will help it fall, back into the background a little bit of the hat and the broom and not look like it's a separate piece. That's what I wanted. I didn't want it to look separate. I wanted it to look like one whole piece once it was glued together. And then this particular black is a white core, so I did go ahead and do the edges on my tab as well. And so here I am using the Tombow Aqua mono liquid glue. I decided to get some more of this. I've had this before and decided that I wanted to get a little bit more. The benefits of this glue is that it doesn't catch right away. It gives you a little bit more time than their white liquid glue to move things around, but you have to be very careful with this glue because it is wetter than the white glue and it comes out fast. So you have to really be careful to just use a little bit at a time, or you are going to get some warping with this because there's more more water to it than the white glue. So once I had put the hat on my witch, I decided that I did want to go ahead and color her in to make her gray, like most koala bears are gray. Most koalas are gray. So I went ahead and did that with just some colored pencils that I have. They're the SoHo brand. I like the SoHo brand because they are a little bit of a stiffer. They're not waxy like Prima colors are. They don't use a wax base. They use a vegetable base. So they're a little bit different, but I know some people really like that waxy look. And they're definitely, like I said, they're definitely harder, so you do have to take your time with them, but I also like that. I find it easier to layer with them because I feel like it's easier to put a little bit down and then add a little bit more, which is what I do here. I'm using 2 different grays, and one is the gray that I'm using for my bottom layer and my overall, and then the other one is I'm using mostly for the areas that I want to have be darker. And then I'm also going to grab out a little pink here in a minute and just add a very small hint of pink to her cheeks and inside of her ears, but mostly I use the gray. Now you can use mineral spirits or Gamasol with these colored pencils to smooth them out as well if you want to, but I'm really trying to work on smoothing out while I'm layering with the pencils themselves, and then not needing to use the Gamma Sol. And one way that really helps with that, if you're having a lot of issues with colored pencils, one is to color in circles. So I know this is sped up a couple of times, so it's a little bit hard to see what I'm doing, but I'm going around in circles instead of doing straight lines. That really helps to blend together your colors and to make the color not appear so splotchy when you put it down, especially when you're doing a large area. You just do little circles throughout the area and it really helps. So, and then putting a little bit at a time and just layer, layer, layer. That is the trick to colored pencils, is very short or very brief amount, light touch. Sorry, that's what I'm trying to say. Oh my gosh. Whew, it is definitely early in the morning when I am doing this voiceover. So I hope you can bear with me, but a light touch is what you want. Putting multiple layers is also what you want to get a nice look onto your colored pencil. So the background that I'm using, it has a lot of images to it, and the ghosts on this background were kind of big. Those were some big elements, and I'm going to try to hide those ghosts because I felt like everything else kind of worked with my little witch, kind of made sense, like the happy Halloween and the spiders and the pumpkins. But the ghosts, I don't know. I thought the ghosts were a little distracting, so I'm going to hide those as best as possible. So I do use the darker pink out of this collection to make my flap, and then I'm going to audition a few things here to try to decide what I want to put down behind her, because I just feel that the solid is a little too plain and I needed a little bit more interest. So I want to put something behind her that has more of a pattern to it. So, but you know, I've used this paper now to make several layouts, and sometimes after a little while that you use the same papers, you start to feel like you're running out of ideas sometimes, or everything is looking a little too similar. But I really wanted to try to get 4 sets of layouts from this collection, which I do end up doing, and I'm gonna go ahead and put a tag up here at the top, so with the playlist that shows the other layouts that I've done and the videos for those. So what I ended up deciding was I wanted to make my own paper that I really wanted the stars, but I didn't want the black and white stars. So I'm taking some of the light pink paper and I cut that down to mat. I believe it's a 3x4. Yes, 3x4 to put on the top. And then there's 2 solid stars in the stamp set. So I put them onto a block, and now I'm just going to stamp them randomly over the whole paper. So I'm making my own pattern paper, and I loved how this came out. The black and the pink, it looks so good. It looks like printed paper to me, and it was a lot of fun to do, and it's really fairly easy with these type of images. I like to do how I have here, where I put them on one block instead of using 2 different blocks, and then I just, every time I inked them, I turned my block. That's the big thing. Every time you ink, you want to turn the block, and you want to make sure that you're also going off of the paper a little bit. And then some people do say like you want to work from like a corner over. Some people like to start in the middle out. As you can see, I kind of did it both ways, and I thought they both worked perfectly fine, and I was able to get a really cool pattern that I really enjoyed. So, and they're different. They're not exactly the same. They both have a little bit of difference, which is kind of cool. I think it gives a little bit more interest to the overall look. Granted, I'm going to put a bunch of stuff on top of it, so it's not like you're going to be staring at this pattern paper, but I just really liked the effect that I was able to get by doing this. So once I got that created, then I'm going to start creating my scenes on top of the flaps. And the first thing that I wanted to do is to make sure that I could get my little witch on there correctly, especially because with that hat, it's kind of tall. I wanted to make sure she was going to fit with being able to still open the flap. So that's why I kind of laid things out and looked at it a little bit before I started gluing down. But then I decided to go ahead and glue down my mat first, which is 3.5 by 4.5. And then I'm going to glue down my flap on top of that. And then I'm going to glue the pattern paper that I just made on top of that. And then I'll add my elements. So just a little bit at a time. Like I said, I really made sure I tried to cover up that ghost. Granted, I understand down there in the right hand corner there's a big boo, but there was no way that I was going to be able to cover that up without it looking a little odd. I just couldn't think of what I could put down there that would make sense, but I don't mind that. I like the way that it looks. I like that you have all these different elements. It just looks like a party. It's just so much fun. And I also enjoy the fact that the way I cut the paper, it is like continuous. So it was like the bottom half of a 12 by 12 so that it goes across continuously. So you get your banners going across, then one bat is kind of going across the 2 pages. I just think that helps to bring your eye across these 2 pages really nicely. So that was kind of a happy accident, but I like that happened and that it works really nice with this particular layout. So there are a sticker sheet that came with this collection, and I am going to use that sticker sheet as well on this other flap. So on the left hand flap, that's what I'm going to put there is some elements from the sticker sheet that I thought went well with the whole witch idea. So even though I have all those other elements in the background, on my focal areas of my flaps, I'm really trying to do more of a witch type thing. So I started out with this hocus pocus as like a sentiment or a title, however you want to look at that. And this arrow, I wanted to use that so much. I don't know why, but I just felt like I really wanted to put that arrow on there. But you're gonna see, I could not figure out how I wanted to do this at first. So I moved things around a lot. Now, these stickers are cardstock stickers, so they are nice and thick, and if you don't push them down all the way, if you very lightly set them down, then you can pull them back up pretty easily. So one of the things that I wasn't liking about that arrow was it just seemed like it kept getting lost. So I did end up putting it on some orange paper, and then I cut around it, and I even kind of cut messily. I didn't try to be perfect. I thought that would kind of look nice and kind of go with the little whimsy feel of this layout, but I just didn't like the hocus pocus. I couldn't make that work. But there was this other sticker that had the double toil and trouble, which I liked as well. So I'm going to try to make that work, and I really wanted to try to make it come across the page. I thought that again would also help bring your eye from the left side to the right side. So I was trying to figure out how I was going to do that, and decided that I wanted it to both be on the flap instead of on the background, because I thought it was just too much to try to put it on the background. So I left it there for a couple of minutes, just trying to decide if I really liked having it that way. And I added the skull and crossbones down there. So our witch is, she's up to something with her potion and her cauldron there. And I'm going to add back that arrow because I just really liked it. I thought it would be kind of fun to pull attention towards the sentiment of the double double toil and trouble. I thought that would be helpful as well to really direct your eye into one location. But I just felt like the sentiment itself was getting a little too washed out being on a white background. So I went ahead and put it on a black background. I thought that would help it stick out from the background, wouldn't wash away so much. And here again, the edges, that one edge that I cut first, I didn't want any black around that because I really wanted it to go right up to the edge of my mat, and I loved the way that looked. I was like, yep, that's it, that's perfect. It stands out now from the background and it works with my other elements. And then I did again decide that I wanted to take off the white edge. I wanted this to be more of a true black. So I went around the edge with my pen. Now, Close to My Heart has come out with some full black core paper for this year. So if you're interested in that, you can definitely take a look at that on their website. They have more information. But right now, I just had the white core that came with the kit. So I'm going to go ahead and stick down these elements, and I'm going to make sure my stickers are pushed down, because now that I know, yep, this is definitely where I want them and this is how I want them. And then I'm going to think about if there's any more elements that I want to bring to this particular layout. So, but first got to secure everything and make sure that, my flap still works. And that's when I realized that I forgot to glue down that arrow. After all of the messing around with that arrow, I forgot that I had to glue it down, and then it wasn't a sticker anymore because I had put it on that orange paper. Sometimes you get going and you forget one of your little elements. So it's always good, especially if you have an interactive item like the flaps, to check them before you finish up, so that way you can make sure you have everything secure. So I decided to use some of the glitter gems, the silver glitter gems that I've used on some of the other layouts with this particular collection. And then I also pulled out some black and white dots that I have. Again, these are from Close to My Heart, and I just kind of started sprinkling those around as well. I just wanted to add a couple extra elements, and then I decided that I thought they would look kind of cute if I put all of those dots right over the cauldron, like it was bubbling things up and out of the cauldron. And then I just put the rest around my little witch. And that is how this particular layout ended up. I just think it's super cute. I love the witchy koala. She's the best. So thank you for watching my video. I hope you got some inspiration and that you'll be able to make some really cute Halloween layouts this year. And I hope you have a very creative day.